Okay, so we are going to start our review session for Earth and Life Science. So we are going to start in order for us to have a productive day. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, so we have a different type of chapter. So today we're going to discuss first chapter 1 to 2. So this is just like a normal class presentations. So if you have an input, you can comment your input on our message inbox. Or if I have a question, kindly utilize our message inbox and use different types of emojis that can provide an input or feedback for our review session. Let us proceed no, on our review session. So for our chapter 1, we're going to discuss the origin and structure of the Earth, universe, and our solar system. So today we are going to discuss the different theories on how our universe formed and or how our universe and solar system form. So does anyone here wonder how does our universe form? Or do you have any idea how does our universe form? Anyone familiar with the three theories that you can see on the screen?
Yes po.
Kindly discuss at least one if you have an idea. So the Big Bang Theory is the most prominent theory that is widely believed on how our universe is formed. So first, we're going to discuss what is the three theories. So these are the underlying theories on how our universe is being formed. So first is the steady state theory. So once we talk about steady state theory class, or once you remember this one, so always remember that it states that the counting of the galaxies in our universe is constant, and new galaxies which are forming continuously are filling the empty spaces. So, pag sinabi natin steady state theory, no, so if the universe is constantly expanding, that expansion creating an empty space. So those empty spaces are being filled up by a new galaxy. So itong new galaxies na yon, siya yung nag-maintain, no, ng steadiness inside the universe itself. So that is the reason from, for example, 4.5 billion years ago, no, so the universe is has this kind of mass, no, so until today that mass of the universe is still constant. That is because of the continuous filling of empty spaces and creation of the galaxy. Next is the pulsating theory. So once we talk about the pulsating theory class, it is the theory that is assumed that there is a continuous expansion and contraction in the universe itself. So this is a kind plain and simple with regards on the pulsating theory. So it talks about the universe has a continuous expansion, and then at a later point in time, no, so that expansion will hit its maximum level. So the universe will begin to contract. So familiar ba kayo doon sa Big Crunch theory? So that is like an alternative theory with regards on the pulsating theory, no, kung saan yung expansion ng universe is titigil, and then because of that rapid stop, no, so makikreate siya ng big contraction. So sabi, mawawala si universe. But that is a theory pa na naman at the end of the day. And last is the Big Bang Theory. So this is the widely believed theory of how our universe is being formed. So earlier, no, so we have a one massive or compact uh, things or object in that made our universe itself. So that compact object is also known as the primeval nucleus. So ito sa primeval nucleus class, it contains, no, a lot of energy. So because of that energy, no, so nag-expand siya ng nag-expand. And then hindi na kinaya i-handle yung expansion, and then later on nag-create siya ng explosion. And then explosion, no, carries a lot of materials and spread a lot of materials in an empty state, and that empty state will become the universe that we have right now. Okay, so I hope you understand these three underlying theories about how our universe is formed. So first, second, let us proceed on the origin of our own solar system. So again, how many planets does we have? So ilang planets meron ng ating solar system?
Wait po.
Okay, so kindly enumerate at least two planets that we have in our solar system.
Mercury and Venus.
Neptune, Saturn po.
Neptune and Saturn. Okay, so we have four. So aside from that four,
Jupiter and Mars po.
Jupiter and Mars. So we have six.
Earth, tsaka Neptune. Nasabi na po ba yung Neptune?
Wait. No. Yes, Earth and Neptune. So that concludes the eight planets that we have in our solar system. So technically, we have eight planets. So we have four outer or inner planets and then four outer planets. With regards on the formation of the solar system, so we have actually three. So we still have three theories, that is believed, how our own solar system is formed. So do you have any idea with regards on these three theories that you can see on the screen? So first, let us talk about the nebular hypothesis theory. So according to this theory class, so based on your own understanding of the definition of the nebular hypothesis theory, how does our own solar system form? Anyone? You can raise your hand. So what do you think, or how do you think nebular hypothesis form our solar system? It is a cloud formations that we can see in our galaxies, that is composed of gas and dust. So the nebula is also the birthplace of the star itself. So according to the nebular hypothesis theory class, so it is widely believed that the nebular or the nebula clouds, constantly is spinning. So because of that spinning motion, so nag-create siya ng force in order to form yung mga gas and dust doon sa paligid niya in a compact object. So yun yung meron tayo ngayong sun, moon, and other celestial objects. We have the planets that we have in the solar system. So next natin is the accretion theory. So accretion theory. So anyone who would like to share an input? What did they understand based on the definition of the accretion theory? So how do you think our universe formed in relation to the theory of accretion?
Kasi po sa pagkaintindi ko, kaya sabi dito na may protosun na lumalakbay sa interstellar cloud na may mga materials. So dahil sa pagdaan niya, may nahatak yung mga materials dahil sa gravity at umiikot ito sa palibot ng araw. So dahil doon nabuo yung mga planeta. Yun po.
Okay. So thank you so much for that. So that is correct, no? So according to the accretion theory, so we have the protosun. So protosun, that is the initial part, ng formation ng ating sun. So that protosun, so habang nagkakaroon siya ng movement, dumaan siya doon sa cloud of interstellar materials because of that formation, so dahil naglalakbay sa protosun, so nagkikreate siya ng gravitational pull on its axis. So kaya pagdaan niya doon sa cloud of interstellar materials, nahigop niya yung mga materials na yun, and then that will create a swirling motions, and eventually become compacts and created the planets that we have right now. So thank you so much for that. So next is the tidal theory. So anyone who would like to share an input, what they understand about the tidal theory? Anyone here who want to answer? What do you think, or how do you think our solar system is formed through the process of tidal theory?
Um, Similar po dun sa how low tides and high tides work, the more na meron po may yung mga materials, heavenly materials po na na a-attract po ng sun, unti-unti pong nakaka-create siya ng planets which is up to now po yung planets na kilala po natin.
Okay, so thank you so much for that input. So that is correct. No? So with regards on the tidal theory and accretion theory, so they both have the same concept. No? So but the only difference is kay accretion theory, our protosun is moving. Meanwhile, on this tidal theory, no, so si protosun natin is naka-stay in place. And dahil doon sa stay in place niya, so merong dumaan no, na isang large body of objects that has contain no, different types of materials. So dahil sa pagdaan niya doon sa orbit ng ating protosun, so the protosun itself withdrawn or drawn some of these materials no, and then form into a planetesimals or planets itself. So that are the underlying theories on how our universe and solar system form. So kindly always remember this three theories about the origin of the solar system and then the universe itself. So next, let us move forward on our planet. No? So we're going to discuss Earth and the Earth system. So technically, we have four subsystem in our planet. So naaalala niyo pa ba yung ating four subsystem? So given na si geosphere, so aside from geosphere, what are the other three subsystem of our planet?
Stratosphere po.
Oh, stratosphere. So stratosphere, technically, no, the stratosphere is just like a layer, no, in our atmosphere. So the main subsystem that we have aside from geosphere is the atmosphere. So si stratosphere is layer lang ng atmosphere. Okay, so how about the others? So aside from atmosphere.
Hydrosphere po.
Okay, so hydrosphere. So that is correct. No? So that talks about or that contains all of the water that we have on our planet. So aside from geosphere, atmosphere, and hydrosphere. So
Biosphere po.
okay, so biosphere. So si biosphere naman talks about all of the life no that we have on our planet. So that is the four main subsystem that we have on Earth. No? So ngayon may bago which is yung cryosphere. So that includes no, all of the ice and glaciers because of the different adaptations that life no, form in a cold environment. So they decided to name the cryosphere as another subsystem on our planet. So, but we mainly focus on this four. No? So first, let us discuss the geosphere. So always remember this one class that the geo means the earth, and once we talk about geosphere, it describes all of the rocks, minerals, and grounds that we can find on and in the earth itself. No? So that is the geosphere. So that includes the crust, the mantle, the core, and all of the minerals, no? Rocks, different types of rocks that we can see on our planet. So with regards on the layer of the earth, so the first layer is the crust, so or also known as the craton. The oldest and the most stable part of the continental lithosphere are found deep in the interior of the most continent. So that is the crust. So crust is subdivided into two types. We have the continental crust and the oceanic crust. So continental crusts are also known or also called as Cl, stands for silicate and aluminum. So that is the two prevailing elements no, or materials that we can found in a continental crust. Aside from that, we have the oceanic crust. So the oceanic crust naman is also called as Sima, or also known as silicate and magnesium. So mas dense or mas mabigat sa oceanic compare mo kay continental crust no, pag pinagsama sila. So next, aside from crust, we have the mantle. So we have the upper mantle and the lower mantle. So in the mantle, we have asthenosphere. No? So it is the layer in the upper mantle which is the primary source of magma formation. So si asthenosphere siya yung liquid or semi-liquid part, no, na matatagpuan natin between the crust and the boundary of the mantle itself. No? So siya rin ang nagpapamove, no, or nakikreate ng ating mga magma formations. And also, convection current may arise in the asthenosphere and they are hypothesized to be a lithosphere. So the convection current is can be seen, no, or can be observed in the asthenosphere area because of its consistency. Aside from mantle, we have the core. So the core is divided into two layers as well. So we have the outer core and the inner core. So always remember this one, great Claude, no? Once we talk about outer core, it is liquid. Kapag sinabi naman natin inner core, that is purely solid. So si outer core then ang source ng ating magnetic field because of the different materials that is melted on the outer core itself. And these are the different boundaries that we can see. So first is the Mohorovičić discontinuity. So it is the boundary that marks the base of the crust. So siya yung nag-divide, no, ng ating crust and ng mantle. So we have the Gothenburg discontinuity. It is the boundary between the core and the mantle. So siya naman yung nagsasubdivide kay core and mantle. And then last is we have the Balen discontinuity. So ito naman yung nag-separate ng ating outer core and inner core. So we have this kind of discontinuity kasi nga they are being separated because those different types of layers contains different types of materials. So Earth magnetic field, no? So as I mentioned, it is created by the movement of our outer core. So it helps us to protect from the particles of the solar wind. Aside from geosphere, we have the hydrosphere, no? Or also known as the water. So the main source of our water is the ocean. So it is around 70% of the Earth's surface. So 97% of our water is salt water and 3% is fresh water. So that is the ratio between the salt water and the fresh water. And we have the layers of the ocean. We have the epipelagic or the sunlight zone. So ito yung zone na kung saan nag-arise pa or nakikita pa natin ang sinag ng araw. So that is the sunlight zone. So usually, most of the marine animals and our marine life can be seen in this zone. So next is the mesopelagic zone. So and the mesopelagic zone or the twilight zone, so minimum amount of light na lang yung nakakapag-penetrate sa kanya. So dito natin makikita yung different types of adaptations, no? Kung saan meron na nagkakaroon na ng bioluminescence ang ating mga marine life. And they also have, smooth and gelatinous vertebra because of the pressure itself. Then is the bathypelagic or the midnight zone na kung saan wala na tayo makikitang sikat or sinag ng araw. The abyssopelagic, and then last is the hadal zone or the drench zone. So this is the deepest trench or deepest point, no, ng ating ocean. So we all know din naman that the Marianas Trench that we can see in our North Pacific Ocean is the deepest trench or deepest point in our ocean. And we have the inland water. So the inland water class, so it is located inside, no, doon sa ating mga land masses. So we have the rivers and lakes. And lastly is the ground water. So these are the water that is or that we can found underground, no? So makikita natin siya doon sa mga crack spaces ng soil, sand, and rock. So most of the drinking waters, no, that we have can be found or can be accessed in a ground water. Next is the chapter 2. So the chapter 2 class talks about earthing materials and the processes. So first is the rock or stone. So pag sinabi nating rock or stone, it is a naturally occurring solid aggregate of one or more minerals. So si rock or stone, no, so nanggaling siya sa combination, no, or formations ng one or more types of minerals. So that is the rock or stone. We have three different types of rock. So we have the igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. So kapag sinabi nating igneous class, always remember that it comes from cooling of melted rocks. No? So whether once the lava, no, cools down and solidify, it will form as an igneous rock. So we have two categories with regards on how the igneous rock is formed. We have the intrusive. So pag sinabi natin intrusive, it forms inside, no, or underground itself. So pag sinabi natin extrusive, it forms on the earth's surface. So nasa labas siya ng mismo earth surface. Compare mo kayo. Next is the sedimentary. So the sedimentary are either that natin na ang sedimentary is formed because of physical changes and or mechanical changes, no, that is sedimentary. Pag sinabi naman natin chemical, if there is a chemical, no, process involved in the formation of the sedimentary rock. So the most common characteristic ng ating sedimentary rock class is the stratification. No? Nagkakaroon sila ng layering. So that layering concludes, no, that the sedimentary rocks, that rock is a sedimentary rocks. So we have the lamins. So it is the excessively thin layer of the stratified rock, and stratum. So pag sinabi natin stratum class, this is a layer, no, of the same mineral substance. And lastly is the metamorphic. So the metamorphic is formed because of the metamorphism. So once the rock is subject into intense heat and pressure, it can change, no, whether it's composition or structure. So that will be considered as a metamorphic rocks. So aside from rocks, we have the minerals. So minerals are the naturally occurring inorganic substances with a specific chemical compositions and defines as a crystal structure. So we have different types of minerals. No? So we have the diamond, gold, silver. No? So most common is yung mga metallic natin, no, na minerals. And pagdating naman sa mga non-metallic, we have the sand, we have the silicate, no? So we have the gravel. So all of that will be considered as a mineral. And these are the different formations or processes that is included in our Earth surface. So we have the exogenic process. So it includes all of the geological phenomena and processes that originate externally to the Earth's surface. So the exogenic nangyayari, erosion. So actually, okay, so nawalan ako ng internet. So actually, meron pa tong apat. So actually, so we have the weathering, erosion, mass wasting, and deposition. So what we are going to talk about the weathering and erosion. So kapag sinabi nating weathering class, it is a decomposition and or disintegration of rocks and minerals. Okay, so let us continue. So we are done on the different processes, no, that we can observe in Earth's surface. Let us proceed on the crustal deformations. So once we talk about the crustal deformation, stem 12, so it is a deformations of rocks in Earth's crust, happens due to the confining pressure and stress applied at the plate boundaries. No? So we have two major factor of crust deformation. So we have the stress and we have the strain. So pag sinabi natin stress, it is an applied force cause of the deformation. So that is the stress. Pag sinabi naman natin strain, it is when the time no nagkaroon na tayo ng result of the deformation itself, because once the stress no, so hindi naman pag sinabi natin na stress ang isang uh, rock materials no, so technically magka-cause na agad siya ng deformation. So it takes a certain level or degree with regards on the deformations of the rocks. In line with the crustal deformation, so we have the folds. So it is a wave-like undulations caused by bending of rocks, usually produced by horizontal compressive stress. So familiar naman tayo kay wave formations, no? So or wave structure. So yung wave structure na yun, that is just like an equivalent into a folds. So si fold, meron tayong 4 or 5 actually no types of folds. We have the anticline. So si anticline, lagi yung tatandaan no, so it is a arcing up or warping of rock layers. So imagine the formation of wave no on your P6 no. So yung crest area natin no. So that is the anticline. So si anticline nagpo-form siya ng upward or arcing motion or an A-like formation. So that is the anticline. Pag sinabi naman nating syncline, so once na bumaba na no, yung wave formation natin, it will create a down warping or a downward motion. So ito naman yung trough area ng ating wave. So that trough area will be equivalent into syncline. So it creates no a U formation or a U-like formation. So next is the monocline. So si monocline is the double flexure of rock layers. So si monocline class, so makikreate tayo ng wave formation but eventually no, because siguro na-stop ang stress no or nagkaroon ng change of formations no, naudlot yung ating wave-like formation. So kaya ang structure ng ating monocline is just like a step-like structure. So flat surface on the inner side, and then yung kanyang formation is makikreate ng bulge, no? But that bulge, no, will not continue to create an arcing formations. So magka-create pa rin siya ng flat surface in the end. So that is the monocline. Next is the dome. Non-linear anticlinal fold beds tip away from central area in all directions. So si dome class, this is just like a structure formations no, that is caused by the anticline itself. So nagkikreate tayo ng upward motion ng mga materials, and that will create a dome-like structure doon sa ating earth surface. Then si basin, that is a nonlinear cyclical fold beds deep towards central area from all directions. So in this one, nagkikreate naman siya no ng basin-like structure no. So kung si dome is just like a dome-like structure, so si basin ay basin-like structure because of the formation of the syncline. Okay, so let us proceed. So we have the joints and the folds. So the main difference between the joints and folds class is the relative movement ng mga materials niya. No? So they both create no a break formation or a crack formation in our rock masses. But pag sinabi nating joints, no, so there is no actual movement no, or relative movement on the sides of the break. Pagdating naman natin kay fault, so both sides of the break no creates no a movement or a parallel, whether it is a parallel or downward or upward movement no. So they are both synchronized no, movement, and that will create a fault formation. So mainly, so si fault ang dahilan ng ating mga earthquakes no, and different types of formation of land masses. So that is the faults. So meron tayong two types of faults. So we have the deep slip faults. It is the movement of two blocks, no, up and down motion of the dip of the fault, primarily vertical. So we have two categories. We have the normal fault and the reverse fault. So with regards on the normal fault, no, so the block above the fault has moved downward relative to the block below. So once the movement of the fault no happen, so magka-create tayo ng normal motion no, kung saan ang movement ng isang layer ng rock materials is downward because of the gravity itself no. So technically, hindi naman siya pwedeng mag-create ng upward movement because the presence of the gravity. And it is a large masses of rock. So tendency, malakas ang gravitational pull because of that movement. Then after that, no, so that is the normal fault. Meanwhile, sa reverse fault naman, no, so we have the footwall and the hanging wall. No? So si footwall moves down with respect to the hanging wall itself. So it is just like a reverse no ng ating normal fault movement. Okay. So si hanging wall class, it is a block of rock immediately above fault surface. So the structure of the hanging wall, medyo incline yung kanyang structure. No? So kaya siya tinawag na hanging wall. So basically of the structure itself because yung kanyang stiffness is hindi siya pwede, no? Hindi mo siya kayang akyatin. No? So syempre pag nanggaling ka sa baba, hindi mo siya kayang akyatin no? Using your bare hands or using your foot or feet-like motions. No? So, kailangan mo siyang gamitan ng other things no, such as ropes no, in order for you to ascend on that hanging wall. And then next is the footwall. So, it is a block of rock immediately below the fault surface. So, the movement nila is si hanging wall always above or upward ng kanyang movement and then si footwall is always downward relative on our fault surface. And second type of fault is the strike slip fault. So we have the movement of two blocks on either side of the break. So si strike slip fault class, ito yung nag-create ng horizontal motions no, na kung saan nagkakaroon tayo ng movement, whether it is left or right movement no, ng ating mga faults. So nagkakaroon sila ng kiskisan doon sa mismong kanilang fault. So one of the good example is the San Andreas fault. So that are the two different types of fault relative no, on our crustal deformation. So next, let us move forward. So chapter 3. So chapter 3, so this is in line no, on our last, which is the fault. So the fault itself, no, so once the fault moves, nagkaroon tayo ng currents ng stress doon sa ating mga land masses. No? So that will create a vibration. So si vibration, no? So that is the earthquake itself. So earthquake is defined here as a cause by a sudden release of strain in our Earth's interior. So because of the movement no, ng ating mga fault, no? So dahil nagkaroon tayo ng fault underneath our Earth's masses or land masses, magkikreate siya ng force. So yung force na yun, mag-turn siya into a vibration. So yung vibration na yun, no, will move the materials. No? So allow the movement of the materials underneath our Earth's surface. So that is the earthquake. So we have the anatomy of the earthquake. We have the focus and the epicenter. So si focus, that is the center of the energy release. So siya yung pinaka-source no, kung saan nangyari or nanggaling yung ating seismic waves. Pag sinabi naman natin epicenter, so we are tracing a horizontal motion or movement doon sa ibabaw ng ating sa focus no, so magta-trace tayo ng horizontal line and then above that is the epicenter. So ito yung point on the ground surface directly above the focus. Okay, so laging tandaan si focus and the epicenter. So we have different materials no, in order for us to monitor the behavior of earth movement no. So we have the seismograph, we have the seismometer no. So all of that allows us to provide a prevention if an earthquake happens no? So first let us discuss the Richter scale. So the Richter scale calculate the amount of energy released during an earthquake. So si magnitude class, so we have the magnitude and intensity. So lagi natin maririnig yan kapag nagkakaroon ng lindol. So especially sa mga balita. So we have the magnitude 7. So that magnitude class talks about no, the energy released by an earthquake. So in order for us to quantify that energy, no, 1 to 7, it's either 1 to 8, no? So that is the Richter scale. So si Richter scale, siya yung scale, no, kung saan ika-quantify niya yung strength ng isang earthquake. Okay, so next is the Mercalli scale. So once we talk about the Mercalli scale class, ito naman ang tumutukoy, no, doon sa intensity ng isang earthquake. So kapag sinabi nating intensity naman class, ito yung damage na nakikreate ng ating or ng isang earthquake. No? So the energy, no, released. So syempre dahil ang earthquake, that is an energy. So that ang tendency is if the earthquake is super strong, no? So magkikreate siya ng damage on the infrastructure, building, properties, or even human life. No? So that is the intensity that we are talking about. So in order for us to quantify the intensity of an earthquake, we have the Mercalli scale. So that is the two scale, no, that is relative on earthquake itself. And last is the seismograph. So the seismograph is a sensitive instrument that measures and records the speed of seismic waves. So siya yung parang makikita natin, no? So siya nakikreate ng mga lines and nagmo-monitor ng vibrations ng isang earthquake. So that is the seismograph. Okay, so let us proceed. So aside from earthquake, we have the landslide. So landslide is also known as a landslip. It's the movement of rock, debris, or earth down a slope. No? So si landslide is the most common. No? So especially pag nagkakaroon tayo ng mga earthquake, so most common nagkakaroon tayo ng landslide. No? So or pag masyadong malakas ang pag-ulan, humihina yung structure ng mismong ating rock surface, no? So nagkikreate to ng landslide. So landslide is categorized as a mass wasting, no? So it is a large mass moving along a slope. So that is the landslide. So flood hazard mapping, it is a vital component for appropriate land use planning in a flood-prone areas. So si flood hazard mapping naman class, ito yung ginagamit ng ating mga local government areas, no? Or unit in order for them, no, to create an appropriate plan on those areas na kung saan they are flood prone. So hydrometeorology. So it is a process or phenomenon of atmospheric, hydrological, or oceanographic nature that may cause damage. So that is hydrometeorology. So it talks about yung mga phenomena that is related on our atmosphere. No? So whether it is uh, mga bagyo, pag-ulan, pagbaha, no? Okay. So, flood, no? So, it occurs when water overflows. So, this is most common, especially kapag malakas ang pag-ulan, no? Or dito sa Metro Manila, no, kahit hindi naman malakas ang pag-ulan or pabugso-bugso lang ang pag-ulan. No? So, create pa rin ito ng flood itself because of the mismanagement, no, ng ating mga waste product na kung saan bumabara sila doon sa ating mga esteros and ating mga drainage. Nakikreate siya ng flood itself. So, but most common, si flood is kapag nagkaroon ng overflowing doon sa isang water area, no, that will create a flood itself. So, drought naman, class, this is an opposite no, na kung saan pag si flood, overflowing. So, si drought is characterized by below average precipitation in a given region resulting in prolonged shortage in its water supply. So, kung si flood, that is caused, no, of continuous rainfall. Si drought naman, no, so meron tayong scarcity when it comes on the rainfall itself. Kung saan dahil sa pagtigil ng ulan, no, o matagal na period ang hindi pag-ulan, nagkakaroon tayo ng drought or kawalan ng supply ng tubig. So si tropical cyclone, it is a warm core low pressure system. So this is most common, no, formations ng ating mga typhoons itself, na kung saan merong interaction yung ating hot, warm, and low pressure systems in a large body of water, no, na create or cause ng continuous precipitations then it will form a typhoon itself. And lastly, before we proceed on the next chapter, we have the coastal processes. So first is the coastal processes is facilitated by the waves itself. So si waves, this is a mechanical features no, na kung saan it was created by the wind movement. No? So kaya naman tayo nagkakaroon ng mga waves, that is because of continuous gush and movement of the wind no? Along the large body of water. So si tides naman, it is a result from the gravitational attraction of the sun and the moon on the ocean. So it is quite different no? So because the waves that is caused by wind, so si tides naman, this talks about the push and pull of the gravity no? Related to the sun and moon no? That creates no? Uh, the bulging or the retreating of our oceans. So seawater intrusion. So seawater intrusion naman class, it is the movement of ocean water into a fresh ground water. No? So nagkakaroon sila ng interaction, the ocean water and the fresh groundwater. No? So that is the seawater intrusion. And mitigation, it is a measure taken prior to the impact of a disaster to minimize its effects. So mitigation, this is most common on the disaster risk reduction processes no, na kung saan hindi naman natin na gusto pa na mas marami pang maapektuhan. So in order for us no, to provide an alternative solution in those natural hazards, we should provide a mitigation plan or a mitigation process in order to save no, much human life, structures, and other important things no, that can be damaged because of those natural hazards. So that's all with regards on our discussion of chapter 1 to 3. I hope you understand the lesson no, to remember with regards on the different chapters that we discussed.